Good evening, everyone. Tonight we have Tammy Christine Radin. She is an evidential medium, intuitive coach and mentor, and a Reiki master, crystal enthusiast, known for bringing messages of love, comfort, and joy to her clients. She's also with Afterlife Paranormal Investigations out of Oklahoma and collaborates her spiritual work to assist others through a private Facebook group to help people with spiritual needs. So stay with us tonight on Unraveling the Darkness. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Unraveling the Darkness. Tonight we have Tammy Christine, who is a medium. We are excited to talk to her tonight. She's also going to be at the Paracon that we're going to be at this year. We're going to Central Kansas Paracon in September, and we've had quite a few people on the show from that'll be at that Paracon this year. That way we can do some follow-up interviews when we get there and meet them in person and let y'all see them again. So without any wasted time, I'm going to bring her in. Good evening, Tammy. How are you?
Good evening, Aaron. How are you?
Doing well. We were talking just before the show. We had a heck of a rainstorm here. Couldn't see across the street at one point. So crazy, the weather this year.
It has been crazy everywhere, coast to coast.
You were saying the fireworks in your town were canceled.
We didn't have, our fireworks 4th of July, every one of them canceled. We had a horrible storm come through that had EF1 winds and did some damage just south of us and just crazy. They did them all Sunday night. So, but, I'm sure people were disappointed because they couldn't sleep in on Sunday and, go out and have a good time. They had to go to work Monday morning.
I'm sure they still had a good time.
Well, probably.
We did not have that kind of weather. We had fireworks going until probably 12:30 in the morning here in town. And I think our neighbors try to compete to see who gets the bigger display, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, well, we are here to talk about you, and I'm excited. We're going to meet you in person at Central Kansas Paracon in September. But right now, everyone gets to learn your story. And that's what we do. We bring people on here to learn their story. So you're a medium. When did you learn that you had these medium abilities?
So I would have to go all the way back to my birth and just let you know that there were many times that I would say things to my mom that she'd just kind of look at me when I was little that I don't even remember. The first thing I actually remember, I was 8 years old. And I was playing in my basement, and we lived in a suburb of St. Louis known as Barnhart. And we had a basement, finished basement. My sisters and I were downstairs playing. We all had our, little pink frou-frou Barbie pajamas on. My sisters were at the little, kitchen thing, the little kitchenette you have for kids, making food and doing things. And I just happened to be walking across the room and I saw a man standing there. And what was unusual was he seemed to be in and out of the house. It was like he was like in a wall. He was kind of like see-through. So I could see behind him the doors. I could see the chain link fence in the yard outside. But he was solid but see-through. He had on a pair of blue jeans, a red shirt, and a ball cap. And his hands were like this, like just in midair. And he had this creepy smile on his face, just like he was joyfully watching us play. Nonetheless, it reminds me of that movie Smile, the movie where they have the creepy smile. It was just a really big, full smile. As a child, remembering it, it was quite scary. And I actually hit two stairs on a 16 stair landing, just boop, boop, and I'm at the top, screaming and yelling bloody murder to my father, to somebody's in the house, somebody's in the house. Of course, turns out, dad went and got his gun and runs around the house and he's trying to see if anyone's there. And we lived in the country, there wasn't anywhere to hide, and no one's there. Um, that was my very first experience. But at the time, because that was the early 70s, it's satanic panic time. Like, if you see things, you hear things, you don't talk about it because we will take you to the loony bin. So it was kind of like my dad just was like, oh, it's just your imagination. You probably just thought you saw something. And, as you probably created it in your mind, and did you watch something scary yesterday? All the things that parents try to calm you down with.
Mm-hmm.
That was a different day and age than today. Today we talk about these things openly, and we talk about that there are paranormal experiences people have, and we didn't do that back then. Back then it was a very hush hush. So that was my very first time that I kind of realized something was not right. Didn't really quite understand or yet that's what it was, that it was paranormal. um and then for a number of years, from about 8 to 12 years old, I would have the same recurring dream every single night. And it was me walking out my sliding glass doors to our patio into the field behind my house. But I was in a trance, and you couldn't just move your head freely like, normal. In the dream state, I was in a trance, and all I could do was just move my eyeballs. And so, kind of like a sleep paralysis, but I
Uh-huh.
was having a dream. Um, and in the sky were three fiery red and orange crafts, and this deafening humming noise coming from them that kind of kept you in this trance. And you could move your eyes and see other people standing in this field, just single people, but you could not do anything. And then I would always wake up, and it would just be like that noise, though, would stick with you. Like, you would hear that humming.
That humming.
Yeah, and it just really freaked me out. And there was one morning where I actually woke up and my feet were dirty. And I thought, okay, wait a minute. Did I actually go somewhere? Like, this doesn't make sense. Now, listen, to keep my sanity, I have told myself for years, while I know that happened and I really don't have an explanation, maybe I had played outside that day and just didn't wash my feet. Okay. Because back then we'd go barefoot and run around and, as kids, and have a good time. So to keep my sanity, that's what I'm going with. That's what I'm going to tell myself about that.
Heck yeah, that would be weird to wake up and have that feeling.
Yeah.
In fact, Joy over here in the comments is
Yeah.
like, that would be creepy.
It was Joy. And hello, Joy. I love you. Yes, it was so, so super, super creepy. And hi, Amanda, if you're watching. I see
Yep, Amanda from
Amanda
Central Kansas.
watching.
We've already talked about you at the beginning. We're going to be over there, both of us.
Yes, yes. And Amanda's doing an amazing job getting it all organized. And I mean, she's just super talented with her artwork and all the
I'm
things she's
telling
doing.
you, some of the stuff that's been
Yeah,
going up, I've been super impressed.
I
And
know.
it was we had her on the show maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Uh,
She's already sent me, like, then she was sending me, because I'm like, oh, we're gonna have, try to have some of the people on the show while we're there. And she's like, oh, well, here's when they're speaking. So you kind of know, she has been on top of it. We
yeah,
also have her coming on right beforehand.
yeah,
And we're gonna have some people back to kind of talk about it that night. So
yeah.
look for me to hit you up, and we're
Okay.
going to talk about Kansas before we go again.
Yeah, cool. Sounds great.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was kind of like my first experiences. And then I was telling some people the other day, and then what happened was I decided I didn't want that room anymore. My sister actually was like vying for it because we had another sibling coming into the mix. And she was like, well, it's a bigger room than mine. I'll take your room. And so I said, great, fine, you can have it. And I moved downstairs in the basement to the big finished room that was downstairs that was even twice as big as mine. Yeah, that was a mistake, it turns out. So every single night I would go to bed and I would feel the presence, like people were there, and I would see shadow figures or people standing there. And I would just take the covers and put them over my head, sing Jesus Loves Me, call my guardians in, and, get myself calmed down and go to sleep. And it's crazy because I didn't actually realize until I'm in my 50s now, and I didn't actually realize until recent that that was traumatic, and I really had this gift, but suffered for a long time with it in my childhood. Um, but yet, doing that and learning on my own and being forced to deal with the fear, being forced to deal with it, set my stage for now. Because now I have very good practices of protection and grounding and the things that are necessary and important for somebody that does the work I do. So it kind of was a blessing in disguise, if you think about it that way, because I had to learn all that first. And then for a number of years, I just kind of, things would happen and I would just kind of, okay, that was weird. That's a synchronicity. This is that. Okay, I can't explain that, how that door just shut. I can't, just different things that happened. But I didn't actually fully grasp and delve into what I do now until about 2019. So
Okay.
kind of right before that COVID time. Um, but it was about 9 years ago when my dad passed away. And
What made you decide to get deeper into it?
that was my awakening. That was when I couldn't ignore things anymore. My father was a Vietnam vet, and he's a real dry humored guy, real dry humor. And he would say things kind of to get your goat or to upset you or to get you, on the row. And he would tell me, he would say, when I die, I want you to just put me in a box and put me in the ground because I don't need any fancy casket. I'm just going back to the earth. When we're dead, and there's nothing more. And I would argue with him. Aaron, I would say, no, that dad, you're wrong. That's not the truth. Our soul goes on. Well, how do you know? Well, I don't know, but I just know, you know? And when my
Well, you kind of
father,
did, right? I
I
mean,
know, yeah, what do you, so we'd had multiple discussions about this. And he actually had terminal cancer. And about, like I said, about 9 years ago, going in our ninth year now, we had gone down to see him and knew it wasn't going to be long, and had decided we were going to go back the next weekend because they lived in Houston and I'm in Oklahoma now. And I felt a strange presence in my room that night. I just couldn't sleep. And we were to head back in the morning. And long story short, I sat there on my bed and I saw my dog get up and kind of and he moved over like somebody moved him out of the way. And the mattress memory foam came up and it went right back down. And I'm watching this and just kind of, I know I'm awake. What am I witnessing? This can't be possible. And my phone rang, picked up the phone, and it's my mom, my sister, and my brother in law. And my sister got out. Dad passed away 5 minutes ago. And of course, that threw me into crying and my husband to wake up and say, what do you need? And I said, I'm just going to go talk to him. I'm going to go sit in the other room. So I went down the hall and sat off my children's hallway in our living room. And my daughter's door swings open. And I'm thinking, great, I was too loud with my talking to him and my crying. And now she's awake. So walk down the hall to put her in bed. She's asleep in bed. That door just opened by itself. So now I'm going, wait a minute, the print on my bed, the butt print, somebody's sitting there. That's my dad. He's saying goodbye.
you're
He's
giving me the
walking
chills.
around. And no sooner do I think that, I know it did. Every time I tell this, it gets me right back. And I'm just perplexed at how the door opened. And then I hear my son's phone start blaring a song. So I walked down the hall thinking, okay, this is breadcrumb trail, right? We're following the trail. I know this is you, Dad, and I'm talking to him. Go in, and I said, I don't understand. I just don't understand what you're trying to say. I know this is you. I feel you. I just don't hear you, and I can't understand the message. So can you be clear? And something told me to go look at the phone. Well, the song playing on the phone was "Man in the Box" by Alice in Chains. he always said, put me in a box and put me in the ground. I was like, oh my God, Dad, that's a very pertinent message. Like, thank you, thank you. And it took me to my knees, and I just sat there on my knees, just kind of sobbing. And I said, Daddy, I know this is you, and I love you, and I'm so sorry I wasn't there when you passed, but you tell me whatever you need me to know. And I heard in my right ear, audibly, clairaudiently, 3 words. He said, you were right. And it changed my world.
Wow.
I
Wow.
decided no more, pretending that I don't have these abilities, no more worrying about what people think, because I mean, I can tell you every month I get somebody telling me I'm going to hell for what I do. And it's sad,
Yeah.
because this isn't just coming from a place of darkness. It can, if you let it, if you don't protect, but
Right.
definitely it's a God-given gift. And everyone has the ability to communicate with their loved ones. So we
So
all do.
how do you connect with, let's just say, connecting with spirit
Mhm.
do you hear them talk to you to tell people?
Okay, yeah. So I have all of my clairs, and I don't know if you've heard about the clairs.
Hmm.
So there's clairaudient, which means you can hear, and there kind of are 2 different types, because one is actually you hear it audibly with your own ears. Another is kind of telepathic, where you hear it. It's not your voice talking; you're hearing them, but it's in your head. It's kind of telepathic. So I tend to do both. I also am claircognizant, where things they just drop in. It's just like a download. All of a sudden, I just know. Um, I also am very clairsentient. So the last place we went and investigated, I had a very, very clairsentient experience there, where the spirit rushed me immediately and actually made me feel exactly what he felt upon his death. And it
Mm.
took me some regrouping to get that under control. Um, so all of the different clairs, I tap into them, and I've had that ability kind of my whole life with all of them. But I have also mentored, and I've gone down the rabbit hole, and I have practiced with some amazing, wonderful mediums out there that have taught me kind of more how to hone in, how to, to take what I have, the gifts I have, and to expand upon them. So
That's great. Gina, my wife, and everyone knows we have a team, and we do this, to hear people's stories and get stuff out, right? She, when we go into an investigation, she gets it as a thought in her head.
right,
And she's like, well, I just don't know. And then, we get so much evidence to back stuff up with her. And I'm like, um, one of the things that happens to her is I'll give an example of 2 places, and you can tell me if this is something
yeah,
kind of like what you have or what happens to you. We go into it's a flea market now in Bisbee, Arizona. It used to be a bank. And she's like, this place is busy. Like, people are still in here doing banking. She goes, it's busy. And then we go into another one locally, and kind of that same thing you were talking about, that investigation, that person
mhm,
bombarded you.
yeah,
And she's like, I cannot stay in here. There's just too many.
yeah,
It's like they know I can hear them,
yeah.
and you take your time and I'll be outside. So is that what you get too? It seems like it's 2 different levels where you kind of
Yeah,
feel some stuff going on, but no one's really connecting to you. And then there's this whole connection.
yeah, and mine, I mean, I have to tell you that beforehand, before I start a reading or before I start an investigation, I tend to get, it's really bizarre, but I'll tend to get things that are like synchronicities in my own life. And what I mean by that is I'm a court reporter by day. So I work for attorneys, I take depositions, have one of those little machines that, you see. And
Nice.
I will maybe go take a deposition on a Thursday, and somebody's name, the witness's name will be pertinent to my investigation that week. Like, it's just crazy, like the synchronicities.
Oh my
So, and I
gosh.
always feel it, because I'll be like, oh, it's like my brain attaches to whatever that is, and it won't let it go. And I know there's a reason, but I just don't know what the reason is yet. So
Wow.
that kind of will happen ahead of time. Um, and trying to think of a good example of that. I had a James in deposition last week, and we went on our investigation, and like the guy's name was James, and he brought that to me during the deposition and said, my name is James. And it was like, oh, okay. So that's why when I took that deposition, I was keyed in on that name for some reason. It was important later. So that will happen to me. But also, like you're saying with your wife, when I go in places, I never want to know what's going on there first. And that's in the paranormal world. Sometimes that can be very difficult to do because we all watch TV, we all see shows. So
Right.
we'll come across or see something at some point and have some kind of idea of what may be going on in this location. But we all know to do our due diligence because historically, a lot of times the truth is quite different historically than what has been put out there by just anyone. So I always try to just blank slate when I walk in. I don't know anything. I don't want to know anything. And then I usually do a walk through the property and I will see things, I will hear things. It just comes in different formats, different ways. And I think really one of the biggest reasons for that, I think, Aaron, that one of the reasons that that happens, that we get it different ways, different clairs, is because not every spirit probably can communicate with the different clairs you have. So maybe maybe they in life were more an audible learner or an audible person. Well, in death, maybe that's why they can clairaudiently communicate better, but they can't necessarily show you vision.
Hmm.
So there may be some drawback or some playback there with the spirit and their reference house and your own reference house and how the communication works.
Sure. Cause you're getting some audibly, but not
Yeah,
all of them. And they're
yeah,
just trying to show you stuff
right,
or make gestures or whatever
right,
to
right.
have whatever come across.
So I just try to kind of open up all my clairs and allow them to get close enough to whatever it is that they need me to impart upon me, what they need me to know, then let that come through however they're able to do that.
Now, let's go to, you had mentioned protection earlier. What kind of protection? And everyone's a little different.
Right.
We as a group don't do any kind of group thing before we go in somewhere, but we all know that we're doing something individually
Yeah.
before we go in to investigate. What is something, and you don't have to go through your whole thing if you don't want
Yeah.
to, but what is something you do for protection?
So I am an ordained minister. I do always carry holy water with me. That's a staple. It's a must. I tend to give blessings and bless people a lot before we go in if they're nervous, if there's any trepidations or any kind of thing going on in their life. Perhaps maybe they've been under the weather lately, something like that. I think it's always important to help people in that way first. I also, when we're spending the night, I will kind of do this. It's become a ritual with me, but I kind of do a spiritual barrier where the sleeping quarters are for individuals or for the group. And it's really been working out very well, actually. So, I mean, intention is everything. We
Right.
all know that intention is
Hmm.
everything. So, if you intend it to be, then make it so, and that's what we do. But I take personally, I always wear my protective gems that I have that I've had blessed and wear those. Typically, I will ground quite a lot. I always like to do that. And if I walk into a situation and I'm not feeling easy about it, I'll just go outside and ground even while I'm there. So it's important to remove yourself from the location for a second and ground. But most of my really big spiritual work like that to protect myself, my aura, all of that and my chakras happens all the time because after every single private reading I do too, I have to clear. Because that energy lingers, it stays with you. Just like if you're walking down the street and you're going to the post office and three people walk the other direction and you may say hi to two of them or whatever, you're in that person's auric field, you're in their energy field. So sometimes you may walk by and then the rest of the day you just feel off or you don't feel, something's not right. And that person earlier, maybe they were just like, when they walk by, a little bit of that energy rubs off on you. It sticks with you. So I'm constantly clearing. And my biggest thing I do for that is a wonderful kind of ritualistic bath that I take, and I do magnesium flakes, I do sea salts, I do lavender oil, do it in a certain way, put it out in the sign of a cross. I mean, I'm very specific how I do things, and it's the intention again behind how you
Mhm.
protect. So
Now, are you on all the time, or
no, that would
you
be
can
crazy.
shut it off, push it away,
Yeah,
whatever?
I
I couldn't
can.
imagine being on all the time. Oh my
No,
gosh.
no. Now, there are times when you get so wrapped up in a case or you get so wrapped up in what's happening with your clients that you're reading for that it is hard to let the energy go. And maybe you're busy in your own life at the same time. And so you don't have time to go take that salt bath and you've got to move on to the next thing. And so there have been times where, yes, I have struggled to just shut down. But for the most part, I personally like to imagine either a lotus flower over my head, and when the petals are open, it's breathing, it's letting everything in. And when you close the petals close when you want to stop. A lot of people will use the imagery of a light switch, flicking on a light switch. I'm on, off. But I can tell you, there are times, Erin, where I go to bed at night and for whatever reason, I'm like, okay, somebody's here. I'm not sure who this is. This is not somebody in my family. This is not an ancestor. And I don't know what they want, but you have to ask them to leave. You have to just say, I'm sorry, this is not an appropriate time. And there have been a few times in which they have not left and they have refused to listen. Um, One of those happened here in Oklahoma, and it was actually murder suicide. Um, just so happened it was a friend of mine's sister's best friend, so kind of removed. But the way it happened was very weird. I woke up one morning and I am just watching the morning news, having my coffee, starting to get to work on my computer, and I see this police report and they've got a street like corned off with the yellow do not cross tape. Um, and I hear a voice that says, you need to pay attention to this. This is important. You need to help me. You need to help me. And I'm just like, it's a street. How am I supposed to help you? I don't even know where they're at. And so I kind of paid attention to it for a little while, and they didn't really give me any information. They weren't letting out any information yet on the murder suicide. Um, Needless to say, it stuck with me all day long. I could not get this lady to stop trying to talk to me. The next morning, I woke up, and this is the synchronicity part that I tell you about. I opened my Facebook page, and there's a picture of my friend's sister's little girl on the phone with a little boy with the same last name as the same last name of the people that were on the news report, supposedly. So now I'm like, wait a minute, there's a reason I'm seeing this. And then she's right back in my ear. I need to tell you something. I need to tell you something. And she kept telling me, please tell her I'm so sorry I didn't pick up today. Just tell her I'm sorry I didn't pick up today. And I was like, well, what do you mean her? Who's her? I mean, I'm just trying to put the puzzle piece together. So I who it is. I knew it was my friend's sister. But how are you going to call someone and say, hey, by the way, did somebody pass away that this is. So I kind of like for a couple days there just sat on it, like trying to figure out how do I approach this? How do I even reach out and say something? What if it is that family? Am I doing more harm than good by messaging her? And finally I decided, no, I'm gonna just ask and let her know that I have a message. Um, and I did reach out to her and say, hey, I have something I need to talk to you about, but I don't want to do any harm. So you guide me. You tell me if this is too much right now and you don't want to talk. And I said, do you happen to know the little boy that's in this picture with your daughter? And she said, oh my God, yes. What do you know? And she said, call me immediately. And so I called her and I said, okay, here's the deal. She knows what I do also for a living. Well, not for a living because it doesn't pay the bills, but you know what I mean. So, so she said, do you know the person in the picture? And I said, I don't, but I have a woman that wanted me to tell her something, and I'm kind of assuming you might be the her. And I explained to her what had happened already and what this woman had said. And she just burst into tears. And she was like, oh my God, oh my God, thank you for telling me. I'm so glad you reached out. What it was they were in a carpool together for school. The woman that was murdered was supposed to pick her daughter up for school that morning and never showed up. So
Jeez.
when she told me, tell her I'm sorry I missed pickup, wow. And, my friend said, I can't believe after all that's happened to her and her children, this is what she's worried about. But it's so true because when we leave unfinished business here, things that maybe we're supposed to do tomorrow for a loved one, or, you know, we want to say sorry, even though we're not here to do so anymore. And so it was kind of a really beautiful message from her, and also a way for her to know that her best friend is okay and that she's aware of what happened and she's with her children and that they're all together. So it turned out to be a really beautiful thing, but sometimes they don't let you just ignore them. And I think that one was a pretty valid, good reason.
That'd be rough because I'd be like, my space is my space, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and coming into that'd be rough.
yeah. It
Oof.
is, and it's hard on us as mediums because, above all, every medium should be saying, "Do no harm, do no harm." We're not here to make people feel like tomorrow's their last day or they have something going on, or that's not what mediumship is about. Mediumship is about bringing comfort and joy through messages from our loved ones that have departed the earth. That's all it is. It's not about us. It's about the spirit world and honoring them.
Right.
So I really try to do no harm, and I think very deeply and emotionally about everything that I do because it's important.
Now, saying that, in the intro and in your bio, you said that you're on a private Facebook page. I didn't give it out because if people want to reach out to you, then
Yeah,
they can, and
yeah,
you can tell them whatever. That does that. That kind of helps those people, correct?
we do. Hmm.
So you're connecting and then helping them with the closure or whatever they need.
Yeah, and a lot of times that our work on that particular page is more paranormal. It's like a paranormal slash psychic support work. We have a lot of people on that page that either have gifts, don't understand their gifts, want some kind of validation, or just information on how to move through that, because it can be very tedious having things and not understanding why they're happening, and being able to calm yourself down. And our central nervous systems, when they are fight or flight, when they're on fire, woo, it can be, and you have abilities, it can be a little crazy from
Yeah,
time to time.
it's I've been kind of on edge lately and at that peak. And we're talking to Gina just the other day about musicians. I
Hmm.
was just talking about like these guys, Elvis, Michael Jackson, Prince,
Yeah.
Jim Morrison, these guys that really felt the music, like they're into the music and they felt the music, right? So I'm talking to her and then I start welling up. She's like, "You all right?" I'm like, I'm on edge. And I can just imagine being at that level and then having all this other stuff bombard you. Not only are you dealing with your stuff, you're dealing with spirits coming to you to help them and to help others.
Right.
That's just
Right.
uh I could just imagine it pushing you over and not knowing what to do.
Right. And we do
So
a
it's
lot of
great that there's
development
people like
stuff.
you that can help those that are coping with their new abilities or coping with abilities they've had and haven't
Yes.
figured those out.
Yes. Yeah. And then, of course, a big aspect of that is like paranormal. So people that are having experiences. We've helped several families actually with that because, as we were talking about prior to the show, a lot of people will go into homes or buildings or haunted locations, and they immediately gravitate to the one angry spirit that's there, and immediately it's something really low level and it's bad and it's a demon, and here we go. And sometimes these are just very unhappy people that passed for whatever reason.
Angry people become angry ghosts.
They do and can,
Yeah.
but they
And
can
it's not
also find
all that
themselves
dark.
and write that.
What?
So
I'm sorry.
I said they can also find themselves and correct that.
There
So
you go.
yeah,
Yeah. And let's talk about the investigation side. So you're part of a group.
uh-huh,
How does, and you said you do a walkthrough beforehand.
I do.
You don't want to know anything.
Mm-mm.
So as you're going through, you're connecting with these spirits. Is that
Correct.
what's,
Yep. And
and then the
I
team is
usually
there to
take my
validate that?
phone.
I mean, it seems that you don't need that validation, that you've
Well,
done this long enough that you know what's going on.
we do though. We do. We like to have we like to get the validation. We like to have that. So we don't always. We're not always with a homeowner or someone on site that's done the historical search and they can tell us that we're right. But when we have had that and we have had an owner on site, we still walk the premises. We still have our phones. We make notes. Then we kind of come together and we compare what we got. Like, this is what I got. This is what I got. Kind of sometimes makes a well rounded picture. And then if we have an owner on site, we absolutely love to meet with them after we've done that and just tell them what we got first. And then watch the amazement on their face when they're like, "Whoa, that's crazy!" How did you get that? Um, and I don't know. Sometimes it's crazy. The things that happen just blow me away. And I still get blown away all the time with some of the stuff that comes out that I don't know where it's coming from, but it's there. And if it's validatable, then that makes it even more like the icing on the cake because that gives you history to work with.
Right.
And why are we angry? Why is this particular, you know, disembodied person angry? Is there something we can do to make them more comfortable? Not that they need to leave. Not that that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just what can we do to make them more comfortable?
Right.
A lot of the times, just telling them what year it is and that so much time has passed and their loved ones aren't here anymore and they've moved on and that actually calms them because they're realizing, oh, I don't need to fight this fight anymore. I don't need to battle for what I thought was right or avenge my death or whatever it is. So it's really quite amazing, but no story is ever the same. No two are ever the same. There's always differences.
Well, and I think that's anywhere, any team that goes to investigate gets,
Yeah.
right? Like you're not going to, you mentioned Waverly earlier, you're not going to that type of place and getting the brothel people,
No, right.
we're going to Dumas Brothel, Montana, and getting the mentally ill or
Right.
the tuberculosis patients or that kind of thing, right?
Right.
Um, we're a little different, and I think you're kind of in that area too, in the Midwest, in that Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas area, kind of like we are here in Wyoming. We're right on the border with Colorado, and
Mhm.
it's a little, the hauntings seem to be a little different than they are on the coast, right? They
Yeah.
have these big
Battlegrounds and
battlegrounds and big sanatoriums and big prisons and all these things. And
right.
out here, we're getting more home haunts and smaller buildings and saloons and brothels and all this kind
Right.
of stuff.
Right.
Um, and it was a little rougher out this way, you know. So probably, I mean, they're seeing some of that stuff, but I feel like we get a little more angry out here, because it was hard times, and it seems that's the area you connect with when you come to the West, is that
Yeah.
moving towards the West era.
Moving toward the land run and trying to get from one place to another with limited resources and limited money and yeah,
Right. And
absolutely.
you're in a wagon and you're
Right.
traveling and you lose a family member and you got to bury them there and then you got to keep going, and now you don't even have a spot to go see them or visit, right?
Right.
And so they have that anger from that, like, I don't even get to visit the loved one I lost. So I can, you know going in and trying to help comfort them. I think that's awesome.
Right.
Letting them know that, hey, it's okay, and it's been long enough that you
Yeah.
yourself can be comforted.
Right. And I've noticed too in our area a lot more so than the East Coast or the West Coast. I've also noticed like almost like a difference between cultures. Like you'll have like little cultural war hauntings. So it
Mm,
may be on Indian land, but you've got, grandpa and grandma died in this house, and now maybe those factions aren't quite getting along in the afterworld. So it's creating like a tension or something because, the land has this memory, the house has this memory. So you have multiple layers. It's almost like peeling back an onion.
that is interesting. I can't say that we've run across anything like that, but that would be wow. Yeah, that's a good one
Yeah.
to think about it that way. And the conflict just between spirits that would have
Yep.
that, right?
Yep. I see that a lot. And it's
Wow.
it's just like peeling back an onion. Like, how many layers do we have here? Let's go back to the origination of the land and let's move forward. And we've got this, and then it was this, and then it was this. And then you think about in death, perhaps some of those souls have stayed from the different timelines. And maybe some of the timelines can't cross wires, but I'm telling you, a lot of them can.
I don't know. I believe that. It's a string ball theory, right? Where it's
Yep.
like the yarn overlaps and you get
Yep.
so I totally believe that. And I think that's why we can get different eras at different times. Like it moves over and now you get the string below it and you're
Yeah.
communicating with those people.
Yeah. Well, I did a house cleansing here not long ago, and that was actually what was going on there. There was they were Catholic, and they had an altar set up for great grandma, and the land was on Indian land, and
Mm,
the people that lived next door were actually native Cherokee, and they were friends with the people that lived in the house, and there was just this weird war going on between ancestors on the one side and the land and the altar and great grandmother wanting to protect her own within the house and not understanding that they're there to do the same thing, but they're being very technical about the land, whereas she's trying to protect the people in the home. Everybody's really got the same goal, but we don't understand that because we're not communicating.
right. And the difference in cultures.
Yeah.
I grew up on a reservation, so understanding that native culture is pretty easy for me. And seeing and knowing that native earth-based
Hmm.
and Catholic, I mean,
Yes.
that's a headbutting situation,
Yes.
right? But like you said, they're trying to do the same thing,
Just in a different way.
just in a different way.
Exactly.
Oh gosh.
So basically, I just had to make the two understand that that was the case, and everything has been quiet and good since.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Well, a good outcome is always welcome, right?
yeah. Thanks to them.
So we know in September you're going to be at Central Kansas Paracon in
Yeah.
Hutchinson, Kansas. Are you going to be anywhere else people can find you?
I am going to be. I'm going to be. Let me get my little cheat sheet. I am going to be July 16th, which is coming up pretty quickly here. I will be doing live free readings on a show on YouTube called Writing Through the Unknown. I do that about once a month now, just to give back to the community and those that perhaps can't afford a reading so that they can get on there and they can, you know, be in the chat, talk to us, and hopefully get a reading. And that has been really, really going well. I also am going to be at the Oklahoma City Fairgrounds on August 8th doing a spirit fair for Pagan Pride. In September, I'll be with you guys at the Central Paracon and Central Kansas Paracon. I have several events that are local here in Oklahoma. As far as other things like outside of that, that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing the rest of the year. Because I also go travel to the Denver Crystal Show every year, which
Oh,
that's going to take some time, and purchase things for my booth that I bring when I read at spirit fairs.
when
Um,
is that in Denver?
it is September as well. I think the second. I think it's like right before our Paracon.
Oh, I'll
So
have to look into that. I mean,
yeah,
Denver's only like an
oh,
hour
it is
away.
the biggest It's amazing. You could be there for 4 days and still not see it all.
Wow.
Pretty crazy. But it's just the Denver Crystal and Gem Show.
Okay.
You want to look it up. Yeah. And they have a really great one. I haven't been to the one in Tucson, Arizona yet, but that one I want to go to.
Huge.
Yeah.
They're in different hotels. It's across.
Yes.
They're outside. They're inside.
Yes.
They're everywhere. Huge. It's
Yeah.
big.
Yeah. And that's how the Denver one is too. It's like multiple huge buildings inside, outside. I mean, like I said, you could walk for days and probably still not see it all.
Well, I will have to check that one out.
So yeah, it's really neat. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the Paracons I'll be at this year. I don't do a ton of Paracons, just because location, like you were saying, like Wyoming. You're in Wyoming, Oklahoma, kind of hard to get and travel with all your stuff. And
right.
so
This is our first one. We're still like 10 hours. It's a 10-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Most of them are so far from us that we can't do it,
Yeah.
But we're excited. And
Same.
as I said at the beginning, we've had kind of a group of people that are going to be there on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to connect with you when we get there and get you on and do a follow-up interview and just let everyone know what we're doing while we're there and who they can come see.
Sounds good. You'll have to come by and check out the crystals I'm bringing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone can find you on your Facebook page, Tammy Christine Medium, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then if there's anyone that needs that other connection or mentoring for their skills, they can connect with you and get that other Facebook page.
They can. And I think it's also listed you can say it. It's just a group. It's called Intuitive Endeavors.
Okay.
It's on Facebook, and we do provide spiritual support for people that are going through paranormal experiences, difficulties, want some help with just understanding their abilities or their gifts. We do an intuitive exercise almost every week, and just kind of like let people kind of delve into it at their own pace so that they're not feeling like they're coming under judgment or, everybody's looking at me, I got it wrong, right? So this is a free zone of you do you, and you practice as much as you want to practice, but we do exercises that help people to delve into their intuition and kind of strengthen that bond that they have.
Now, do you do readings when you're like at the con? Will you be doing readings?
I will be.
Okay.
Yep, I will be.
Great. Well, Tammy, thank you for coming on the show tonight. We're looking forward to meeting you in person in September.
Same.
So be sure to check her out at the Denver Gem and Mineral Show.
Yeah.
The Paracons, anything in Oklahoma. I'm sure that you kind of update people as you go on your Medium page. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
I sure do.
So check out her page, follow her there, and see where she's at. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in September.
Yeah, I'm going to put you in the green room and then I'll follow up after I close out the show.
Okay.
Amanda did post. She's excited to have us, and I'm sure everyone is excited to come. We've had so many people on, and that's, I think it'll be a great time.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Tammy Christine Medium, that was a good show. She's got quite the ability. I'm excited to meet her in person. Probably sit down with her and get a reading. So be sure to watch us over the next few weeks. I'm not sure if the show is going to be on for a couple. Gina and I are going on vacation starting the 22nd. So that Wednesday, I don't think we have anyone scheduled the following Wednesday. Jason may be on with a Bigfoot guy. Work is really hitting him, so he's having a hard time getting on. So we're going to see what we're going to do about that. We appreciate y'all watching the show, and everyone have a good night.
Unraveling the Darkness would like to thank Horn Paranormal Research for sponsoring our show. If you're craving more paranormal content, don't forget to check out our YouTube and Facebook channels at Way Out West Paranormal and Unraveling the Darkness. You can catch all of our episodes of Unraveling the Darkness on Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe as it helps others find the show and join in on the paranormal fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep your lights on, stay safe, and remember, the truth is out there, and it might just be closer than you think.